Hey guys, this is actually continued from the video that I just made for Life Love Latte. It's a team of mothers who have like an Ask Mom site, and they were talking about eating disorders in a video this morning, and I had commented about wanting them to kind of elaborate on the data they were sharing and things they were saying. And so they had asked me a question about it. Good statistics and all, different statistics, and also how to help yourself if no one knows. So I did the first half. This is part 2. I did some research on ways to help somebody, like a loved one. One of the sites I found I'm not happy with at all. This is www.worldoffemale.com, 10 ways to help a loved one with anorexia. Some of these are really good, and some of them aren't. This is one of the first ones that come up if you were to enter into Google, like, how to help a loved one with anorexia. So some of these are good, but a lot of them are not. Some of their suggestions to speed up recovery. Okay. Number 1, make eating a fun event. Don't leave your loved one alone during mealtime. Though eating in public can be difficult for someone suffering from anorexia, eating with friends is an important step. This adds a social dimension to food, making it easier to eat a normal amount of food. It also helps you make sure your loved one is eating healthy and getting the nutrients needed. I agree with that. It is good to be eating with somebody who's sick to encourage them that it's okay. I think that's a good tip. With this and with all of them, every case is unique, and hopefully, if you are part of their family and have been part of their recovery, then you may have been to therapy sessions where you got more specific advice about what to say, what not to say, what to do, what not to do, that kind of thing. If you have any more specific questions about it, feel free to ask, and I will either answer myself or check with other sufferers and see what some of their feedback is. 2, pamper your loved one. When was the last time she was treated to a day at the spa? Okay. An important part of getting over anorexia is building positive self-image. Take her out for the day and spoil her with foot massages and manicures. Make her feel like a queen, remind her how beautiful she really is. I have mixed feelings about this. Putting a lot of emphasis on appearance is risky. Eating disorder recovery is about finding strength within oneself. Maybe if you could do sweet things that emphasize love and nurturance without focusing on like going to a spa, that could be extremely triggering for her, like seeing other women scantily clad and stuff. I like the pampering idea, but I don't like the focusing on appearance part of that. And again, this could just be my own personal idea of that. I'm not really sure. I can't speak for anyone else really, but yeah. Take time to talk. This is an excellent one. Most people struggling with anorexia are putting on a show every time they interact with people. When someone asks how she is doing, she always smiles and says, fine. Take time to sit down and really talk to her. How is she really? How is work, school? Is there something she is going through right now but has not been able to talk about? By taking the time to sit down and talk, you may discover something she is struggling with and needs support in order to get over. This is good. I do think encouraging talking is important. A couple other things I'd like to add to that are: make somebody feel safe to talk to you. Probably the biggest thing I hear young people say about talking to their parents or any adult is, okay, yeah, my mom or so-and-so said, if you have any problems, you can always come to me. But it was like delivered in a one-time awkward way where, yes, it was said, and yes, the parent or adult made a gesture of, I'm here for you. Maybe their body language, maybe other cues were suggesting to them, you know what, they really don't want to talk about this because it makes them uncomfortable, and kids get that message. They're a lot more perceptive than sometimes we give them credit for. So if it's kind of like the dreaded birds and bees talk. It's the same thing. Like, kids know when parents are uncomfortable. So if you can develop a discourse that's genuinely like compassionate and open and welcoming and safe, and encourage like a personal dialogue, hey baby, regularly, that's better than just, hey geez, if you want to talk to me about anything, I'm kind of here for you, but all these awkward messages, like, not good. So that would be my advice on that. Try and cultivate a closeness and sharing about difficult or awkward subjects in general, because a one-time, hey, you can talk to me, doesn't get through to teenagers. Like, teenagers have issues talking to their parents anyway, but I think if you cultivate a closeness with your child and an intimate discussion with your child without those discomforts, it can be really helpful. Let's see, talk about the risks. Okay, anybody who's been in treatment ought to know the risks, and you have to be really careful in discussing it, because you can come across very judgmental, accusatory. These people already have a lot of shame and difficulty with their struggles. So you sitting there going, this is bad, and it could kill you, and this can happen, and that can happen, and this can happen too. Okay, I'm going to just come back, because I guess people want to talk to me. Okay, sorry about that. So I was saying, just the whole, be careful with discussing risks. I mean, yes, it's very important that people suffer and understand what's happening to their body, and discussing it is a good idea. It's more the way it's delivered rather than what is said, I think. It is very important for them to know. There's a lot of people who don't realize what's going on, and it can be a motivating factor in getting better. But just be careful to, as hard as it is, if you're a parent, try not to get too intensely emotional about it, I guess. I don't know how else to say. Just be careful when discussing things like that. I will share some risk factors, because that is important. Malnutrition, decaying teeth. By the way, that's not just for bulimia nervosa. In anorexia nervosa, a lot of the times periods stop, bone density drops, and because of that, the teeth are affected as well. I have a lot of dental issues from osteoporosis, actually, so hair loss, hair getting dry and brittle, unhealthy, dry, gray skin. You can, if you're underweight or malnourished, develop a fine hair that's almost like fur that grows all over the body. It's called lanugo, and that's done in your body's attempt to conserve heat when you're starving. What else is listed here? That's pretty much what they're listing here, but there's a ton more. Depression, intolerance to cold, lowered immunity, slow healing, difficult fighting off infections, more susceptible to getting infections. If you get a cut or a scrape or a bruise, it takes much longer for the body to heal. A lot of troubles with stomach and intestinal motility, issues with moving one's bowels. If you don't eat, it's common to get constipated, have trouble with that. Another one is dehydration, loss of electrolytes from purging or from lack of intake. And a big one with that, with the electrolytes, is imbalances that can affect your heart. Certain electrolytes are needed to keep certain things working right, like muscle tone and especially like cardiac impulses. So typically you can get arrhythmias. The heart muscle actually shrinks as well, not as a result of electrolytes, but as a result of starving, and becomes weaker. But the electrolyte imbalances, that's a common thing that kills people. Low potassium it increases the sensitivity of the heart, so like fatal arrhythmias are more likely. Palpitations, different symptoms of heart failure, fluid retention, all different really bad things can happen if your electrolytes get too low. If sodium gets too low, there's consequences to the brain. You can actually have hypoosmolar crisis. There's different medical things that can go wrong with that. And then bicarb used, that's actually lost usually in laxative abuse and purging. That's necessary to balance out the acidity of the blood. As you mentioned, ketosis, which is something that happens when your body goes to an alternate survival metabolic pathway. When you're not eating enough, breaking down and digesting itself, one of the byproducts are keto acids, and that acidifies the blood. And blood pH is one of those things that's very, very tightly controlled. And if you don't have the bicarb there to buffer out that acidity, let me move, that AC is obnoxious. If you don't have adequate bicarb in your GI tract, and also to neutralize the acidity of the blood, the body will pull it out of the bones, and so that's another factor that can influence bone loss and stuff. So yeah, there's a ton of bad effects, and then depression, insomnia, labile moods, risks of fainting from being weakened, inability to think, the list goes on. So yeah, I mean, it is important to get educated about potential side effects. And then as far as more things that one can do, one second, I'll be right back here. Talk about the rest of them. Spend time with her in public. This is a big one. Again, eating disorders tend to isolate, so making more social endeavors that are safe for this person can be very helpful. Remind her of what the world is really like. These apply to men too, even though this is from a women's support site. Okay, now here's where I have issues. Make the gym fun. I see that as a major issue. I don't think that somebody in recovery, I don't know, I get that would be between them and their therapist or treatment team, but public exercise can be another big trigger for issues. So, what else do they have on here? Go shopping. See, again, this is all body image focused. Women often dress in ways that draw attention to their most unflattering attributes. Take her out and help her choose a new wardrobe that compliments her instead of making her uncomfortable. If you're not up to date on the newest fashions, find another friend to come. Yeah, this is just, I don't know. I personally would find that very triggering and very uncomfortable, and encouraging of like pathological thoughts associated with eating disorders and self-image. So I can't exactly say I agree with that. Surrounded with positive people. That's an awesome one. Not only with shopping, women with anorexia need constant positive encouragement in order to fight the negative thoughts that are always going through their head. This is so true. This could be hard for just one person to manage, so bring friends. Surround her with love and acceptance at all times. I love that. I think that's good. Limit what movies or shows she watches. Watching reality shows about supermodels can make anyone feel like they need to lose weight. For someone struggling with anorexia, this is the ultimate struggle trying to attain an unhealthy goal. I'm just gonna say, like, yes, it's a bad idea if people who are sick are doing something like this. However, I guess if you're parents of a minor, then yes, I agree with that. But if you're talking about an adult trying to exert control on what they're doing, can have not such great results. But yeah, if somebody's actively involved in their recovery, then they should not be watching these things. But that should be their decision. I don't think it should be something that is forbidden them. That's just gonna stimulate that need to assert control, which often comes out in restriction and different, like, corporeal punishment type things here. So that was okay. And then lastly, seek psychological help. I don't think that should be number 10. I think that should be number 1. Sometimes the only way to get over anorexia, especially if it has been years, is to seek professional help. I would say darn near always you're gonna need some help. Encourage your loved one to seek help. Go with her if they're scared. Seeing a psychologist can be daunting, especially if someone doesn't want to admit there is a problem. It can be the difference between succeeding and defeating anorexia and submitting again. I agree with that. So like I said, mixed feelings about this 10 Ways to Help a Loved One article. I did, however, find a great resource. This one is from www.helpguide.org. Helping someone with an eating disorder. Advice for parents, family members, and friends. This is a really great article, and I really support a lot of what they said. So I'm going to put a link to this in my video here. Yeah, it's got some really good stuff on here. Understanding eating disorders. Myths about eating disorders. These are really important as well, and you might want to talk about this if you guys are going to make another video about it. Myth number 1, you have to be underweight to have an eating disorder. People with eating disorders come in all shapes and sizes. Many individuals with eating disorders are of average weight or overweight. Very true. Myth number 2, only teenage girls and young women are affected by eating disorders. While eating disorders are most common in young women in their teens and early 20s, they are found in men and women of all ages. For example, at my support site, we have people over 50. So yeah, I mean, this stuff just doesn't go away. It's like I was saying before about this isn't just a phase. If you're a parent, take action, get them help. Don't just think they're going to grow out of it. They don't. They don't just go away. You know. Myth number 3, people with eating disorders are vain. It's not vanity that drives people with eating disorders to follow extreme diets and obsess over their bodies, but rather an attempt to deal with feelings of shame, anxiety, and powerlessness. I agree with that. 100%. That's another thing. A lot of the awareness today is like, oh, it's because of the media and because of pictures and fashion and that. I agree that that's a component, but unfortunately it also sends the message that people suffering with eating disorders just want to be pretty or more well-liked or more fashionable. And really, in my experience, I've come across very few people. I'm trying to think if I've come across anyone. I'm having trouble thinking of somebody that was the reason. So, yeah, there's a lot more going on than that. I think my time is running out. 1 more minute. Okay, let's see if I can wrap this up because I don't want to do a part 3. Myth number 4, eating disorders aren't really that dangerous. All eating disorders can lead to irreversible and even life-threatening health problems such as heart disease, bone loss, stunted growth, infertility, and kidney damage. So yeah, I hope this helps. It's a lot of information. If there's anything else I can do or anything else that you'd like to know, please don't hesitate to contact me. Good work, you guys.